Hello, gentle beings, and a fond welcome to you. Welcome to Cornelia. We're here with a Batchat 25 AP, which is a tank that I'm mightily unfamiliar with. It's being played by Yorktown. Oh, cool. I didn't actually know that. In any case, volume way too loud. Ah, that is better. I can hear the voices in my head again. Shut up, Jadic! Okay, alright. So... Batchat and replacement for the Fully T. Now, Fully T is a tank that I played that was kind of like a massive... It was kind of like the Tiger, if the Tiger worked out and slimmed down and went at 60 and didn't have an autoloader. It had the same autoloader, this 100mm gun, 2.73 shell delay. I don't think statistically the autoloader has changed in any way. It's just the tank itself has slimmed down a bit, and it kind of, to me, the Batchat kind of looks like a drunk 1390. It looks like the 1390 is looking in the mirror while it's wasted, and this is what it sees. It's odd to me, but Yorktown is going to take a very innovative position, one I've never really considered before, avoiding flipping himself, which is probably an endeavour that I would have failed at. But he's going to climb up here and just sit. He's got startling little support on this flank if he chose to push all the way down A1, but this 12T certainly was not expecting this location. But you may look at what just happened here and think, oh my word, this is an amazing position, I'm going to use this. Well, he could have done the exact same thing from just down there. So that 12T died not so much because of Yorktown's epic plays, but because he was kind of stupid. Anyway, 4 shells left in the magazine, a little while before we have to face the prospect of that crippling 43-odd second reload. And goddamn, that's a nice moment. So, that Batchat IP on the enemy team is going to be watching this, and he's going to be very attentive to what's going on. So Yorktown prematurely turns, he's not chasing damage on that E25, he's going to try and get the hell out of here while he's being auto-loaded by his counterpart on the enemy team. But there's got to be some kind of law against that, like cannibalism, I don't know. But he runs back into his line of fire support, but Batchat certainly would have been able to get another shell into him there. So we've got to come up with the feeling that the Batchat only have 4 shells left, and that's why he stopped chasing him, as opposed to gaining some magical situational awareness about the prospect of being shot by a 128mm cannon on that Hotel Borsig on the friendly team. Now, east of the map is looking good at the moment, which is odd. When I cover replays, or when anyone covers replays on YouTube, generally, by this time in the game, the friendly team, for our hero, are managing to get themselves implausibly killed in as many situations as possible. That's not quite the case in this regard, but Yorktown has spied that north of the flank is kind of no-go, and in fact that entire flank has died, as I was saying, and so instead of fighting a lost cause, he's relocated, he's found himself a beautiful SP1C, and he's messing about a bit here. He's not sure whether he should go forward and commit, but he does in the end take this shot in the process. We're not missing anything on the enemy team that really is going to concern them at this point, other than the RT. We've spotted the AT-50 and the SU, so we know where all the tanks are. And in a medium tank like this, that really needs to play as a predator and pounce on its opponents, taking stock of where the opponents are and knowing, okay, these guys have been spotted over there, it is really, really important, because it allows you to know which portions of the map are clear from an aggressive approach. Yorktown's choosing to use a Camonet on this tank here. I don't know whether that's due to any epiphany that he's had about the playstyle of the Batchat. Like I say, I've never played it myself, but it could be that he's just got a leftover equipment slot. The Batchat, I imagine, much like the 40T, it can mount vert stabs. It's not like the 1390. One of the biggest advantages of the 1390, actually, is that it can't mount vertical stabilizers. The 13, well, it's the biggest disadvantage, actually, but it can be viewed as an advantage because if you can't mount vertical stabilizers, you have room for other equipment slots. And it means that on the 1390 you can go with optics, binos and caminet. You can have all the plus points for a scout tank, because you can't mount a gun rammer because it's an autoloader. That's the same on this tank. You can't use a gun rammer, so I'm going to go with vert stabs, optics and vents would be my choice on this. Maybe you're swapping out vents for a caminet. We won't know. What we do know is that the enemy have had mixed results pushing into base. T10's just killed the friendly arty, and the convoy is still pinning down the enemy approach from the east. And now the standard pen on this gun, I believe, is 223 or something, or am I way off the mark? 232. And is he going to get a final shot? No! Poor lead there, really. But he elects to load his premium shells now. And here's the thing about the Batchat. The 40T, being the big old fat mother that it was, could carry a lot of ammunition. The Batchat, however, is limited to 30, much like its successor, the Batchat 25T at tier 10, which has 30 shells. This thing also has 30 shells, but its alpha damage is 90 less per shell. Admittedly, it has one more per clip, but it's 90 less per shell than the tier 10 Batchat, which means that there's certainly a hard cap, a really hard limit on the amount of damage, the amount of carrying, the amount of ass kicking you do all day that you can do in this tank. And that's going to come to fruition as a problem later in the game. I won't spoil too much though. Right, so things have taken a turn for the worse. Still got Tanyati on the enemy team, which would have killed me by now because I'm me. And his T-34 has decided to stick around. Now, I don't know. I've absolutely no idea where the enemy Batchat is at this point. You've got to assume that he's reloading, otherwise he'd be in this engagement, killing York, right? But what was he shooting at? Was he shooting at the guys down there? That seems unlikely. And York goes for an instant reload, probably knowing that if the Batchat's not here, then he's got to get out of here. He can't chase him with 2 shells, and so he disengages as fast as he possibly can. Alright, so off up to the north. This is going to be interesting because you can get some high ground over here, and if he covers the approach to this flank, well, there's the base. That's probably the Batchat, judging by the speed. The SU-122-24, the tier 7 STB-1, is fast as well, and I like this positioning here. And he does get spotted instantly, unable to use the bush, but you can see the enemy Batchat is moving and taking fire in from the left here. I'm just thinking that might give some decent information about where the SU is. You've got the view range indicator here, or the render distance indicator, so he might just be perched right on the edge of the hill, or maybe that shot came in from over there. But when the enemy are moving, they are far less likely to hit you than you are to hit them. So in an engagement like this, if the Batchat closes to close quarters with York, he's dead. Because that guy can just come around, use the advantage of an autoload to say, okay, I'll take your hits and I'll just kill you. We have the same reload, I have more health. It's simple as that. So Yorktown needs to take some of his hit points away before he gets into a point where he can dictate the combat. Engaging like this puts the enemy at a disadvantage, and you're stationary, you're more accurate, you're more likely to come out on top. So if you get a situation like this in your gaming escapade, make sure you take these opportunities, because it's going to be far worse if you let it drag on and let the enemy close the distance to you. And it's just about loaded, and he feeds one into him. Batchat fires on the move and gets the second one in, and this is goddamn tense. He's dodging the arty like he's in bloody Michael Bay film. He decides he's had enough of that, and I would too, with the arty banging down upon me, and switches to a different mark. Now the Batchat's coming after him, hungry, and once again he misses, and he loads just in time. I'm not sure whether the enemy Batchat had problems with his gun depression at 6 degrees on this tank, which It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's not anything to write home about, let's just say that. He swings back that way, perhaps to bait to the enemy team, or perhaps to see if he can get vision up down the one line. What you got to think at this point is, although the view range of the Batchat is quite mediocre, it's 380 meters base view range, I would assume that we're seeing the benefit of optics on the map here, because that doesn't really look like... Or maybe... I'm not sure. I would like to think that any Batchat player would have optics, just because it's a very, very good piece of equipment to have on this tank. But in either case, you know that most of the time on a map like this, you're going to have the advantage over these kind of tanks. The SU 330 meters if you range. The RT will be lesser. Well, one would hope. Although they may have their cloaking devices up, we'll never know. But, oh my, well, that's interesting. He waits carefully there. A lot of people might have panicked, but he makes sure he puts that one straight up the ass of the SU. Very careful about that, because he's only got 4 shells left. Now, there's the thing about splitting your magazine between your armor-piercing and your premium shells. This happens in the Tier 10 Batchat as well. The Tier 10 fires APCR as standard and it has heat as premium. Now, a lot of Batchat players, myself included, do not take any heat in the Batchat, because for one thing it has worse performance against spaced armor, but the main characteristic, the main reason why a lot of Tier 10 Batchats won't take heat is because of this very situation. It takes a long time to load your shells, and if you're doing a reload in the Batchat for 3 shells, that's a pain, and it can be really, really crippling. Whereas if you take all APCR, the only reason you won't be able to load a full clip is because you don't physically have enough shells to do that, and not because you split your ammunition, which is a problem here. But now he's got 3 RT and he's on a smidgen of health. 136, and he lights up the M12 and will most likely be spotted in return for that. Now, in this situation, that M12 is useless. He is as useless as a solar-powered torch. As useless as a light tank rushing the enemy base to try and kill the arty. Nah, that would never happen because wargaming. Anyway, he does get spotted and instantly disengages. Now, looking at positional play here, that M12, as I said, is just completely obsolete. He's in a hole in the ground, so he instantly becomes the last possible priority in a situation like this, because he's on such low ground. He's basically a bait. If Yorktown were to go in there and get him, other than the problems having to reload halfway through because he does not have enough ammo in his tank to kill all of these arty. Each of them will require 2 shells, so they can be able to kill 2 of them, and then they'll have to reload the final 2 to take out the 3rd arty. So, difficult situation ahead, but that M12 is in the box. So if you jump in there, all the other RT are above you. They can take positions. All they have to do is wait for you to come out. It's like a kill zone. If you imagine a castle, medieval castle, they had a kill box. When an enemy army would bring it through the first gate, they would come into an area that was specifically designed to have archers and all sorts of whatnot, kerfuffles on the high ground, which would just absolutely massacre anyone who came through that gate to try and get in further into the castle. And he's found a lane. It's turning, and he's dead. Okay, so 2 shells left, 2 RT left, gonna require 2 shells each. Unless he can hit him with a glam, but that would be extremely dangerous. And there's the old Tier 9 Russian with a 220mm cannon, 1850 alpha damage, and it snapshots the hell out of its opportunity right there. Very risky plays by York. and he doesn't fancy staying in the camp, you've got to know that that M12 is still somewhere around that last known location. I mean, he can't go far. For one thing, he's in low ground, taking him a long time to climb up that hill and relocate. But now you've got to decide, how do you approach an M12 who's got his back to a wall like that? There's two approaches to that pass. One is down the front here, and one is down that way. Those are the two main approaches. Well, I suppose this side kind of has two ways, but both go in front of the M12's gun. But this is one of the main reasons why you don't want to put yourself in low ground in this situation. I mean, it would be a difficult game for the enemy to win even if they didn't, but they just completely wasted an arty by putting it in low ground, because let's say that even if it popped up here and that M12 was not aimed on the land ahead of him, he can still, if the M12 was looking at him, he can still just decide, oh, okay, forget it. And he has infinitely more chances, more positions to choose his engagement, and at no point can this M12 say a damn thing about it. If you put yourself in low ground in a situation like this, against a half-competent player, it's just a matter of time before you die. Because they're not going to choose an engagement that they don't like. You've given, in this case the M12 has given Yorktown all the power that he needs in this engagement to finish off the game with 8 kills and a Fadens medal for killing the last remaining tank with the last shell in the magazine. And that was a game that I really enjoyed, because I just felt like there were very few mistakes on Yorktown's part. I enjoyed the relocation at the start, the innovative play on the north, and aggressive but solid play. I don't really have anything more to say. I think the game was quite self-explanatory throughout, to be honest. So, gentlemen, hopefully you've enjoyed this, and until next time, I will bid you all a fond farewell. Bye-bye.